All right, so I guess we are live now. Let me just confirm on YouTube. Um, I think there is a little delay. Oh, okay, we're live. Perfect.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of my new podcast. Today, my guest is Andrew Ansley, and we will talk about semantic SEO, which is a topic that we both really like to talk about. So, for the people that don't know you, Andrew, is, I would just let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So, like Israel said, the name's Andrew. I am the director of marketing for Helium SEO. I also am the co founder of Content Sprout AI, which is an AI tool designed to write content, do topic maps, that kind of thing. And yeah, I've been in SEO for a long time now. Big member of the Facebook community. That's kind of where I hang out. And I make YouTube videos for fun. So if you want to see that, I'll provide a link. But yeah, that's kind of who I am, what I do, and I live in Colorado.
Yeah, I just want to highlight your YouTube video because I have listened to a few of your recent videos and you share really great stuff. So if you want to learn a few things about semantic SEO, entities, etc., I really recommend you to have a look to the Andrew channel because he really share good stuff. And the way you explain it is well explained for especially beginners, and you use
Yeah,
terms that are like really easy to understand. So that are great things.
that's the goal. Yeah, make it easy
Yeah,
to. The videos get so long because a lot of times, I mean, you know this about trying to talk about some of these concepts.
yeah,
It's you can't assume that people understand your whatever word you're using, and
yeah,
a lot of times you just got to. And even if they do understand the word, they might understand a different definition. So it's just like, yeah,
yeah.
it's important
That,
to then talk about those and pause, but then your videos can be forever long.
yeah, exactly. That's a concept that seems complex at first because there's a lot of things that you need to understand to really grab the concept. But it's something that once you got it's not that complex. It's just
Yeah,
like, but yeah, today we'll talk about it because it's a hot topics for any time now. And then there's still people uh, that are interested to learn a bit more how to implement it, like what we could expect, and what is about the features of Google, because we have seen that year, especially many big change from Google algorithms, and we have seen many sites has been destroyed, especially with the recent helpful content update. That we will talk a bit later about what's our thoughts about that. But yeah, semantic play a role in that, including user experience. So all these things that we will cover today. So my first question, Andrew, is when you started to implement semantic SEO in your SEO strategies, what has been the biggest pivot for you? Like uh, the result you have seen implementing that, how it has been impacted your process, and all the benefits you have seen using that.
yeah. I would say the benefits or the what I've what I've seen using it is I've really reduced the cost of backlink acquisition. Not because I'm
Yeah,
gaining cheaper backlinks, I just don't need them as much. I still need them, and it also depends on the areas that of SEO that you're in. Sometimes you're just
yeah,
gonna need you will need to do link building as like a heavy focus. Other times you might not. So I mean that goes into the whole idea of topical authority, which we can cover later. But yeah, so
yeah.
I would say that's one thing. And what I mean by that is keyword difficulty terms that are like 20 above my site's DR, 30 above, 40 above. I've been able to rank for those in the top 5. So
Yeah, that's something that I have really
that's huge.
noticed myself too. I think I have probably dropped my link building budget by probably over 60%,
Yep.
just with the fact that we build up typical authority, we increase trust and understanding from Google. So backlinks are less important, and are they are still required, but at a less important level. So that's been probably one of the biggest benefits as well. Like outranking biggest authority sites just because our content is much better and much well understood by Google because of the implementation of semantic.
Yeah. I'm glad you see the exact same thing. I'd say 60% is a good number. Like what I
Yeah.
was doing before, 60%, 70%, somewhere around there. And I don't
Yeah.
know what kind of SEO you're doing. What niches are you focused on right now?
Well, I had affiliate site for a very long time, and then of course there's a few years ago we got some rigorous update that has not been really good for the affiliate marketing. So I have more moved toward agency work, and then now I'm currently working on some new projects that are more focused on social marketing. Because as a niche at publishers, I think it's just good to have some diversity and just not rely entirely on Google. Uh, but I see that SEO now for business and SaaS are really, really strong right now. Maybe the way we know to work with SEO for niche sites, especially affiliate marketing, is much more harder now because there's many new factors that are to consider and it's more harder to track. But I would say that for business, it's really easier because you have a real presence and you have already a level up in terms of trust from Google. So if you implement after that a good SEO strategy, you can really level up pretty easy and fast.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So uh, there's a question that a lot of people are probably would like to know is what is semantic SEO and what's the the main reason for why we leverage semantic in SEO. If I can start, just make it simple, is leveraging semantic is just to help in a simple way to explain this to Google, just to ensure that Google understand clearly what you're trying to represent. So you will use entities, which is other topics, could be also nouns, verbs, everything that is related to your topic. So if you combine all that together, Google just understand better the what is the context of your topics. I can just give an example quickly, and I like to give that example because it's I think it's a good one. If you take an example, the acronym SEO. So if we're talking with a colleague and we are talking about SEO, everyone know what it is. But if you look example of Wikipedia, which is my favorite place to look at entities and topic, uh, if you look at the acronym SEO, it's mean a lot of stuff. First, it means search engine optimization, but it's also mean places, organizations, and even personal name. So
Mhm.
depending of the terms you use in your phrase, it could mean different things for Google. Example, if you say what is SEO, there's a high chance that Google understand that you do reference to search engine optimization because it's the most popular acronym. But if you're using instead where is SEO, now Google will not be sure about what you're talking about because the terms before the word is different. So semantic is like a combination of all this combined together, which just help Google understand better what your content is about. And if there is something that is really important that people I think need to understand is if Google has a doubt about what is your content about, it would probably just rank someone else. So that all these things to optimize for semantic that would just help and increase the trust from Google to, okay, I'm sure now that this content is about that specific topic. So at this point, I will rank it better than this one because I'm not completely sure about this one. So that is part of the thing. But I'm curious to have your insight in that as well.
I completely agree. I honestly put semantic SEO and topical authority in the same category. uh, I define it the same way, at least, because both are the process of connecting semantically related things and making it as easy as possible for Google to understand those connections. I guess there might be a little bit more inside of the topical authority definition, but ultimately, semantic SEO is a response to what happened in 2018 when really Google started relying on entities and
Yeah,
started using openly using Wikipedia and Freebase and all those other ones.
yeah, exactly. And if you will have to structure a website, so role structure your silo, etc., what will be your plan of match? Example, you have a, let's say, I don't know, whatever topics
Yeah, so
you have in
I'm
mind.
doing one right now. I have like my own. I think you've seen it. It's the doing a transparent SEO, and I have like a
Yeah, yeah, the
project I'm
Bourbon,
doing. Yeah, so
alcohol stuff.
I'm
Yeah,
doing that for the liquor niche, and here's kind of how I see it. There's site structure is one. There's content. There's internal linking, link building, schema. I think that's probably the only categories you really need for site structure. Here's my my go-to. I use parent folders for major categories. I don't want to use /blog/learn. That does
yeah,
not. If I'm trying to maximize contextual understanding, every single little piece of my site, from parent
yeah,
folders, URL length, everything needs to be optimized. Because ultimately, I think it's easy to get in this mindset where you're like, it's such a small thing. And then people, if you bring it up in a Facebook group, right, they're going to be like, that doesn't matter. Like, that's dumb. That's not a ranking factor.
yeah.
But for me, if it's even a small fraction of value,
Matters. Yeah,
then if I do that small fraction of value over 1,000 pages, it's exponential in value. And if I want to build something that scales, then I
yeah.
want to start right. So that's so you've been in Signals Lab. Of course I have, Mr. Clint Butler. He's commenting. But anyway, so that's the thing, is like, I understand that people, it's hard to communicate in Facebook, but
I think a lot of people probably overestimate the power of Google Intelligence. I think
Mhm.
they just believe I will write about this and Google will clearly understand what it is about. Yeah, it's understand, but there's, like I explained earlier, if there is a doubt in specific understanding, we just prefer another one. So in ranking, play a role. So if you optimize, like you say, everywhere, like your silo structures, your role, your internal linking, and you ever optimize this so the context is clear that there is no way to go otherwise. So that's the best way to optimize a website. Just go all in, and that's all been a thing in the SEO. We always say do the most as you can is the best you can do, because the SEO is there's so many factors. So it's not because it's a little thing that it doesn't matter, because it's a lot of little things that finally make that the whole thing is matter and improve your ranking as well.
yeah, I completely agree. But
Yeah,
let me finish the site structure thing. I'll just give the quick ones. It's click depth. And I want to hear what you think on this too. So click depth, and for me, that's like 3 clicks is the
yeah,
max I really want to go. I will allow 4, but that's my main thing. And then the homepage is going to contain links to the most important content.
yeah,
The header is not stuffed with massive mega menus like the header menu, which dilutes context. And then I try to include anything in the header that applies to every page's content. So uh, I don't want things that are far out. It should be relevant. And
yeah.
URL slugs are short, and that's kind of the gist of my site structure. It's pretty simple. Are
Yeah.
you similar with how you structure your websites?
100%. Honestly, I'm doing the same way, because I think people, the crawling depth is something that I do exactly the same. It's really important because for Google, the more far is your content in terms of level depth, the less important it is for your site. So especially for PR content, that stuff it should be really at a very low depth. So I do exactly like you. So I link to my most important content and category from the home page, and I'm sure that the crawling depth is optimized for all my topic cluster in my content and my category as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've
There's a
had
little hack as well. Sometimes it's a bit hard to trick the crawling depth. So HTML sitemap is always a quick hack that works well sometimes as well. Will be used for that purpose.
what do you use to for click depth?
HTML sitemap.
Oh, sign, yeah, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, put that in your folder, and then you improve your the content that you try to optimize your crawling depth in this, and
Yeah,
there you go. Done.
I completely agree on that one. I think the categories too. So having specific category pages, so it's all having, or not only category pages. So you have category pages, which are breaking that out. So it's not just resources or blog and then 100 pages. So you're breaking that up already. You still need to break that up further. The way I like to do that is, if possible, a lot of times it's not, is the sidebar, like left sidebar, is going to link to all your supporting content, just like Gitbook would, or Docusaurus, any sort of, like, if you've ever been a developer and you look at like the documentation for anything, that structure is kind of perfect.
Yeah, like
it maximizes
menu
optimization easily.
Yeah. And how do you structure your categories page? I'm just curious because for me, the way I like to use it, there's a lot of people that just like a list of blog posts, and that's so wrong in my opinion. I just prefer to create a category page as a content page. So my PR content, example, I have a silo on SEO. So my category page SEO will be, example, a main keyword like what is SEO and its benefit or whatever. And then I will have my PR article there, and then I will link from all articles under the silo, my topic cluster on SEO from that page. I prefer this way. I think it's much better for the organizations on the site, and it's just also better for an overall SEO strategy. Are you doing the same thing?
Yeah, if I can, if people listening, if they work with clients, you don't always get that ability. And then the other thing is, there's just technical limitations. A lot of people just use a kind of like the default settings of whatever CMS that they're using. And what that leads to is a bad system. And you can't no index a category page, but at the same time, the category page you don't want it to really rank for anything if there's no content on it.
Exactly.
It's the only content on it is ripped from, all these other blog posts that you have typically. So yeah, I would say that doing that is really good. And I will add one reason for why it's good is it increases the amount of crawl or like indexation. I find it improves the indexation for those other posts. Yeah. And I can use it as like the kind of like the gateway or like funnel piece for linking to all these other blog posts where sending link juice or link equity or whatever you will. I can basically just send to a category page. And if I don't have some like specific SEO strategy in mind, the easy way, send to the page, it'll just filter it all. And it's kind of like I've just created miniature home pages, and it's really nice at that point. So I find it helpful for so many reasons. I'm right there with you. It's just hard to get clients to get on board for that.
Yeah. I guess with clients, it could be challenging. But yeah, that's a common mistake that I see so much often. People are just no indexing their category page because they say there's no content, there's no value there, and they no index. But the problem is you will link to your category page from your own page. It's in your menu, whatever you put it, and then you block the crawler, and then all the crawler bot can now crawl your other content. So now you just kill your client there because probably that the same article that will probably be on your category page normally will probably be fine to 4 or 5 depth because you need to crawl many internal links just to find it. So that is really a bad thing to do in SEO overall, but a lot of sites is doing this. So guys, category page shall never be no index.
And that's a difference too. Like WordPress has this thing where, so I'll set my URL structure or permalink structure or whatever to category, slug, and then the title. And then there's another thing that happens where WordPress will create /category / whatever your category name is. That I do. I just get rid of that entirely. No index anything that's doing that because that's just duplicating. So that's just one caveat to the no index thing is don't accept WordPress's like default category thing.
Yeah, true. All right. And in your internal linking, what is your method when you want to create your anchor text? Are you going with like synonyms, exact match? Do you try to add context in your anchor text? What is your approach?
Yeah, for internal links. So I kind of use the same approach for internal links as I do for backlinks.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why I do entity stacking is what the term I like to use, just because the whole concept is you can stack an understanding of entities with your internal links, with your schema, with your backlinks. All of it can just keep on stacking, stacking, stacking. And they should all say the same thing. If any of them say something different, that's a little weird, because if the page is about something,
Yeah.
when people mention you, it should be about that. When you're internally linking to that page, you should be internally linking using those semantically related terms and not just hammering down on one. I will say I am fine hammering down on one term more frequently with backlinks, but if it's just, so I'll use the example of what is whiskey. I might use what is whiskey, a ton of times for backlinks, but ideally the best thing to do is get synonyms that are kind of touching on the same idea of what is whiskey.
Yeah.
That's probably my main thing. And then the position of internal links. Usually I want the internal links to be higher up on whatever documents that I have, if possible. And then the other thing to just to note this, the higher up a link is, the more valuable it is and the more value it can pass. So the other thing is putting an internal link directly under a header. So that's the other thing, is anything directly under a header is more important and more valuable as well. So if you do both of those things, internal link at the top, towards the top of the article, and it's under a header, then you've just maximized the value of it. Obviously, it should be contextual.
Yeah, I do the same for the anchor text. I always try to use at least once the exact match for my keyword, and then for the rest, I go with semantic related synonyms, etc. keywords, and then I wrap this and I repeat the same keyword set. And for the link building, it's something that I do, like you say, exactly the same approach. I In the guest post, what I really like is to customize the title and do the same thing. So I would go with synonyms, entities that are relevant to my core topics, and all these things. Everything to boost the relevance and the context. A lot of people believe that link relevance doesn't matter, but I believe that Google is getting smarter every year. And then, especially that year, they made really great progress that year in the context and relevance. And I think it's something that people really should care about. And if you want to do SEO for a long time, you should really care about these things and start building links, like it will be internal links for your site, and ensure that you are relevant when you link to another piece of your page.
Yeah, completely agreed.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'll say is I'll use hrefs. I think you're more of an SEMrush fan, and you have your own stuff too. But
I've been href fans a long time until they do their dick move. But yeah, now I just cancel a move with SEMrush entirely. There's a few things that I was preferring href, especially the UI, which is much simpler.
UI is better.
Yeah, UI is definitely better. But for other stuff like data, is basically the same. Maybe a bit less coverage on the backlink side. But for the content, because I really focus a lot on the content on my side, so it's really covered with well with SEMrush. But yeah, Href has a better UI, definitely.
Yeah. But for the internal link thing though, or like finding anchor text, I know I've mentioned this before elsewhere, but or in other places, but do a keyword search, whatever the keyword your page wants to rank for, find the number one page, find all the keywords they have on that page, and then you'll want to filter by position 1 to 20 to maximize relevance. And then those are your keywords that you can use for internal linking. If you wanted to go a little bit further, what you could do is you could probably just put that into AI and then just say remove anything that's redundant or bad English or something like that. And then you could probably clean it up a little bit more. But that's kind of your shortcut. Ultimately, anything you do hyper manually that's not like sweeping with a broad stroke will be better. But like, it's all about maximizing really all of your time. So you got to make calculated sort of shortcuts And that's one of my calculated shortcuts.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good. I just want to look at the comment
Yeah,
quickly.
John was asking about the Google News stuff.
Yes, I don't have personal experience with Google News website. I don't know for you.
Yeah, so the site that I'm doing in public right now is a Google News approved site. And I did that on a clean domain that was brand new, no history. So if you're trying to build a brand like I am, I'm not going to use an aged domain necessarily unless I was going to redirect it. But
Yeah, because you can't choose necessarily your brand. So
yeah, exactly.
it's
So
yeah.
I just did. But I will say, even from a non-aged one, it indexes very fast, like as fast as John's describing. I'll have a page be crawled
Yeah.
super quick. So I think that's just Google News. That's the benefit of Google News.
Yeah.
On top of you get more discover stuff and higher impressions.
Yeah, but I think Google News is something different that is Google Discover, right? It's two different. I have, at least of my niche sites, I have tried so many times trying to get in the Discover, Google Discover, and I have failed so many times. It's so hard. But probably it's a new site that it's really
There's two
news
ways, man.
coverage.
I'll give you a knowledge bomb right here that I just discovered recently. There's dust on this feature, but web stories. So using Google Web Stories is crazy for getting the Google Discover, getting like a ton of different impressions of that. And then Google News helps with it as well.
Okay, cool. That's a great insight. Perfect. Yeah, let's talk about the tools that you are using when in your workflow, especially oriented for your semantic analysis. I'm sure you use AI, so I can't
Yeah.
sorry to say, but I let you.
Yeah, we've talked offline. We both believe SEO will be. It's going to largely be AI, not optionally. It just will be that. And if you're not using it, then you're just like on the chopping block.
Yeah.
But yeah, AI is kind of my thing.
I agree on that. When AI started to be hype, GPT-4 was not released yet, and I did try it, and I was mostly against it. I was not for me. I prefer stay on my current workflow, etc. But when they released GPT-4, it opened a lots of doors and opportunities to boost productivity, and especially for the SEO analysis, because you save so much time. You just feed GPT-4 and then you have your report in the way you want it. So it has been a really game changer, I think. And I totally agree now with you that if you don't adapt with AI now or in the futures, you will be left behind, because it's something that is really can change a lot of can help you to keep up with what's going on in the future.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's probably why I'm looking at a lot of news around AI. I really try to stay updated and focus on that. Every night in my bed, I look at news and try to keep up with what's going on. And I like it too. Honestly, that's a really great technology with lots of things you can do to leverage your business with it. I think it's really a good thing.
Oh yeah. And there's tools that do it. Obviously, I own one that does it for content, and then there's tools that do it for like you name it. But I would say the main skill here is, even if you use those tools, that's fine. Once again, we want calculated shortcuts, and depending on your time, your ability to code, all sorts of stuff, you might want certain tools. But in general, I would recommend everybody get used to using the playground on OpenAI, just because that's going to be so helpful. Playground is much different. ChatGPT has like these settings that are just like, they're always there. You can't adjust them really. It will tell you it adjusts them if you try to prompt it to, but it doesn't actually.
You pass the next level when you play with temperature settings. Is that I say this all the time. Stop playing with ChatGPT. Use the platform or leverage API. It's really where you get all the power of GPT, because ChatGPT is made to be like not really as powerful as what you can get from DPI. It's definitely two different model, even if they are both GPT-4, but they are different in my opinion. And just the fact that the temperature settings, especially when you need to do important analysis, never be at set to one like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is by default, so it's something that
Yeah.
people should care of. Yeah.
Yeah, the temperature thing that was the most frustrating part of when I was trying to write content and figure out how to. If I have a
Yeah.
bajillion pieces of directions for how to, what to write, if I have temperature 1, then every single piece of direction is basically me having a leaky bucket saying, I'm giving you freedom to like kind of follow that direction. But then if
Yeah.
you go too low, then like the variability of that content drops so much and then it becomes too robotic. So really trying to figure out the sweet spot. Yeah, data
Yeah.
analysis. I believe Google DeepMind scientists said 0. Like you have no business doing anything outside of 0 temperature for data analysis,
Yeah. No.
which would
Personally,
for me.
I use 0.2. I think it's a really a good settings. I have tried different thing, and for me, I believe 0.2 as settings for important analysis is a really great settings. It's what I use personally. Uh, Everything above 0.4 is for analysis. I think you give too much power to the AI to just be creative and maybe do not listen your instructions. It's not about the instructions that you want it to follow, and the lower is your temperature setting, the better AI will follow your instruction. And I think for analysis it's really important.
Yeah, I completely agree. I totally did not give you my list of tools, by the way. So I'll list them down of
Yeah.
what I use. I use SEO. Recently, I had to switch, but my Chrome extension, I use Ahrefs Chrome extension. I use SEO search keyword tool. So SEO search keyword tool. That's another Chrome extension that kind of does all your Google auto suggest, does your ads prepositions. It does kind of like people also ask. It gets you to do all those sorts of terms that are just on the SERP, and it's kind of systematizing it and making it really quick. The other tool that does basically the same thing is Answer Socrates, and that's an online. That's just like answersocrates.com. That's going to do largely the same stuff. I just happen to like the Chrome extension a little bit more. Text Razor. I know we both use that one. Google NLP. Yeah. So I use NLP less for my day-to-day and more for proving myself right when a client wants to argue about how to write content. So if you haven't used Google NLP on like Google Cloud, they've got a demo, so you don't even need your API. You put the text in there, and then the nice, hey, we have our brand guides, and this is what you need to write like this. This is better content. And then I'll put that through, and then I'll see like what's the level of understanding that Google has on this. And then I'll put my recommendation in, and then I get data that literally says follow this, because Google has no idea what the hell you're talking about. So use that for proving myself right on content suggestions. Wikipedia, use that, live on that thing. That thing's just the GOAT. It's amazing.
I think it's just not possible to work with Semantic SEO and do not use Wikipedia. It's
and
like
even if you're not on Wikipedia, whatever you're using is using Wikipedia. So like
right.
Google's algorithm uses
like
Wikipedia. OpenAI, you bet your bottom dollar they're using Wikipedia as like a source of truth.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't. I remember that I have seen. I think it was a post from Google, an official post saying that they were relying heavily on Wikipedia for Google Knowledge Graph. It's why when I built my website silo, example, I create a new project, I will really reverse engineer Wikipedia and see how the subtopics, the relationships, and I use that to create my site. I'm trying to replicate the same topic structures as Wikipedia, because I'm telling my mind is if Google is heavily relying on this on Wikipedia, it means that these structures is completely understand it. So if I do the same thing for my site, Google went with it crowded and recognize all the topics, all they are associated. We just have a really good understanding of what I have on the table, and it would just help me to rank better and make Google understand better. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's Wikipedia is great for that. You can even do, I think I shared a AI thing for getting you can have like your own Wikipedia on your site. This actually goes into my next tool that I recommend, WordLift. And I think you've used WordLift before, or at least
I never use WordLift. I wanted to give it a try. I just did not get the time to do it. But yeah, what was your impression using that?
I like it a lot. What they're doing is on the forefront of schema, in my opinion. They've read like the documentation that exists on this, and they basically, I'm just going to avoid using all the jargon, and I'll just say that they're creating their own Wikidata type thing that you can either put on a subdomain,
Yeah,
or you can put it onto their own thing, and it's like data.wordlift.com is the subdomain they use. And
yeah,
basically it has this vocab feature that I really like. And vocab is with a little widget, I can create an entire glossary page that functions really well. And anytime I'm writing a blog, I get a little sidebar option that just says, hey, here are the entities that we've discovered. I can click the ones that I like. It will, if an entity has not been clicked ever before, it automatically creates a vocab page using AI. I think it's just GPT 3.5. I go in there, and what I'll do is I try to follow the template that Wikipedia sets out. So Wikipedia will set something that's like, okay, if you're going for dogs, it's the anatomy of dogs, the definition of dogs, dogs and culture, whatever these things are, types of dogs. Well, I would create a page. It's basically going to like be that. And the whole goal is you want to be your own universe of content, and you want to be able to connect everything exactly as you see fit. And Wikidata, or not Wikidata, WordLift is helping with that.
Okay, cool.
Next
It's
is
something that I
oh yeah, what?
yeah, I was just saying that is something that I should really test because I see that there's many use case for that.
Definitely. I also use my buddy's tool, Entity Clouds, and that one I kind of view it, because it would get too expensive if I use both. I use one or the other typically, but Entity Cloud, you can use both and it would be even better. But Entity Clouds is kind of like a programmatic deployment of the schema, recognizing the entities and stuff, and then automatically connecting it. So that one's really nice, but a little bit more expensive if I want to do that on a lot of entities. On Page AI, I love that for the optimization. So I think you would ask me if I use tools like Surfer or
Yeah, but on Page AI is more oriented on the semantic approach. Entities, sure. Like Surfer is more about NDRAM and all these the keyword density, the old school thing. They have NLP now, but yeah, I have asked you what's where you thought about using content optimization tools. So I'm all here.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I don't really use content optimization tools that often, but I do. Typically, I think you have a process too, but once you have a process for AI generating a piece of content, then all those AI tools don't really help too much. Or sorry, all those other optimization tools don't help too much, just because if I know that my process gives me a 100 on the tools that I trust, then I don't really need it anymore, because all I'm trying to do at that point is add some human touches to the AI to just make it a little bit better. So those tools, not as much anymore. I still use them and they're still there, but yeah, I don't rely on them as much. Inlinks is the other one that I use in that department. And Inlinks I like for other reasons. It's not just helpful for just the on page part, but I like Inlinks a lot.
Yeah, I'm currently debating on stopping using content optimization tool because I think they are like a lack of focus for the writers. Because when you provide this to the writers, they just focus on like robotic way, I need to insert that terms here and there and there. I need to write that amount of word course. And I think they just forget about the main focus. What is really matter is you need to cover the search intent and cover the be engaging, because I think these content optimization tools first just force the writers to add a lot of fluff content that just make the content boring to read. And and now with the user experience that take a level up in terms of ranking factor, I really believe that using these tools are not what is the greatest thing to do. Uh, I want to make some tests, but there's some theory recently that Google may give some negative ranking decline to sites to content that are too much optimized with these tools. So what I will like to focus now is really focus on optimizing my content the semantic way, the outlines with the search analysis, which I have shown you in the precedent code. And then starting from there, just say to my writers, forget about the rest. Just focus on the outlines, the topics that you need to cover, and more importantly, the search intent. And then engage with the user in your writing tone. Make sure that I think it's really what matters. I don't believe that the terms that these tools suggest are that much important to follow in a way they show and insert 3 times, 4 times. For me, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And anyway, if
Because
the out
that is contextless. So they're giving you words to throw in, but it's not telling you where to throw them in, or it's not about the relationship of the word to the page. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and honestly, if you prepare the outlines and you optimize it for context and semantic, if your writer just follow the outlines, likely you would just add the important terms automatically because every topics are already set in the outlines. So it's for why I believe these tools are not as important as they were before. I got a site recently that's being really impacted badly with recent algorithms, and they were how super optimized with Surface SEO. So it's something that I would like to test to redo, because I have made some improvement in my semantic outlines in the past months. So I would like to redo the article and just forget about these optimization tool and just instead focus on follow the outlines, ensure the search intent is satisfying. You satisfy the search intent and then engage with the user and leave the rest. And I'm sure it would probably recover. So that's what I want to test in
So
the upcoming
I would
months.
love that to hear about the test. I will say, I think for me to find that test to truly tell me, do I need to do Surfer SEO, or does Surfer SEO help or hurt, whatever? I would say that use your semantic outlines, but still try to use while doing the new semantic outline, still optimize using Surfer within your semantic outline. See what happens. If it's still bad, then, remove the Surfer part and don't care about the optimization. But otherwise, you're going to get content freshness, scoring perks. You're going to get the ability, or you're going to get the added bonus of just a better semantic structure. And that wouldn't tell me if Surfer is bad or good. That just tells me that semantic SEO
Yeah, yeah. There's so many ranking factors, so it's impossible to really isolate a SEO test. So yeah, I agree with that. But at least if I just believe that it's not just about SEO that I will do that, but more for my audience, because I really believe that the content would just be more engaging and more interesting to read if you see that everything has not been forced to inject here and there and there. So that's my feeling.
Yeah,
And
I agree with
and I
that.
believe user experience is so much important now, especially with the recent algorithm update.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. You're not talking about the helpful content update. You're talking about just whatever caused Reddit to blow up and I guess the past 6 months, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild to me. The perspectives, I call it a perspectives update is my thing. It's like, okay, how do you put a specific perspective into your content? You're taking kind of like a stance while operating within like a factual domain. So your stance can't be outside of the realm of what is popularly agreed upon, but
Mhm.
you are allowed freedom within what is popularly agreed upon.
Yeah, it's what's happened with Reddit is crazy. It's good for them, but yeah, the traffic has been crazy in the past year, especially, and yeah, I, it's hard to know exact. Like probably that just Google like from community conversations and that stuff, but it could be a lot of things. Probably that there's a sentiment analysis in these Reddit posts as well because people share their experience. Maybe it's a mix of all these things. Uh, but yeah, it's yeah, it has been a good year for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Hundreds of millions of views a month. That is a great year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think
Well,
that you're exactly on with user experience. And I think user
yeah,
experience is more than just the content, the way you're talking. It's also the type of content you have. So that actually goes into topical authority and semantic SEO, diversity of content type. So lists, bulleted lists, numbered lists, data tables, images, infographics, images that are basically just tables. Then
yeah.
there's videos, audio. There's all sorts of stuff that you can put together.
Everything to attract the attention of the user to keep
Yeah.
it on the page. Eric Lancher has made some tests on this. I think last year he made change to the features image above the fold and tested some stuff like bold text, different image sizes, etc. And apparently, it made a really big difference on the bounce rate and the time precisions for users. So all these things has been really interesting when I seen that, and I started to play with that as well. And he's right, is everything that is above the fold play a really big role. And we don't just talk about the visual aspect, but also the everything that can attract attentions to depth of the user, like the first few phrase. So it's why when I build sites, I always make sure that my we see at least the first or two paragraph of my content above the fold. So I'm trying with those first paragraph
Mm-hmm.
to captivate the attention right away. So the user have to scroll down to see what's going on. So, but yeah, that's something I think why Reddit is so successful because as a users, I use Reddit every day. I really like it, and then I really like to scroll and see comments and see the engagement there. And I think they have probably really amazing metrics, like the users stay on the page really long time and engage, write comments, etc. So it's probably why Reddit with the new algorithm, which I'm sure focus heavily on user experience more than it was before. It's probably why Reddit got a really a great ranking improvement. Probably because they have just amazing user metrics.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. I will say that, like, I don't know if you disagree on this or if it's just an add-on to what you said, but I actually don't necessarily care if the user is only on my page for 20 seconds. I don't actually think that's a bad signal to Google. I think that's just a sign that, honestly, if they don't go back to Google after
And
they
check
go to
another
my page
page.
for 20 seconds, it means the query was answered. If that happened, that's probably meaning that query, if it isn't already, is probably going to go into some bucket that will either be part of like, what is it, Bard AI answers, or like people also ask, featured snippet, something like that, because it's telling
Yeah,
Google, hey, the search is satisfied, but it was satisfied with like very little time needed on this page. You could probably just do this. And
yeah.
but either way, you could still benefit from that until Google rips it from you. But yeah,
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 that's why when we got our last call, I mentioned how important I was focusing on the search intent. And it's exactly for that specific reason because you don't want that the user arrive on your page, don't find what you need, and move to another article. So I do my best to cover everything that competitors are covering, but in a single article, so the user doesn't have to switch back, stay on my page and find what's he need. It's also why table of content is super important. I still see today articles on the web that doesn't have table of content.
Well, there's
Honestly,
no excuse. It's so easy. AI can
it's
do it.
easy
Plugins
and
can do it. Yeah.
it increases the number of keywords you will rank. It helps the user to find what it need. I don't understand why people don't use table of content. There's no reason for that.
It's crazy to me too, man. It's also
Yeah.
like the the most white hat way of injecting an additional exact keyword into
Yeah,
your article. You're
yeah, right. Because
Why
you will
not?
have a hashtag and keywords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for people who I think the Yandex thing is probably old news now, where people don't want to go and look at it. But I think everything we're saying is not just opinion here. It's straight up. Was it Big Tech on Trial? That's a Twitter account. They covered the Google lawsuit, and there were straight up just documents in that lawsuit that said, "Hey, we actually use a scary amount of user data for rankings." And then Yandex, which happened the year before, was a leak where, yes, it's Russia, but all the search engines operate similarly. And Yandex also had a ton of algorithms on user experience and like calculating these sorts of metrics of how the user interacts with your page, with your content.
Yeah, exactly. Agree. Yeah, so let's talk about keyword research because the semantic way is different than the conventional way. I mean, SEO has been a long time just a game of keywords, and this has changed, especially when birds has been arrived. Semantic doesn't exist for a very long time, but Google has improved slowly over the years with their understanding for context, and now it have a bigger impact, and it's why semantic take importance because Google rely on this more and more. But yeah, so how do you leveraging semantic SEO as change the way you look for
Oh yeah.
keywords in your keyword research strategy now?
Yeah, so keyword research for me totally changed, and probably in the past 2 years. I used
Yeah.
to rely on Ahrefs and then using different PAA. People also ask type tools or just a Python scraping thing. And then I would just filter by keyword difficulty and search volume. I might do some work to identify the top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of the funnel, and apply that to those keywords, just as a tag. And then I could filter based off of that. But no considerations were really beyond that. It was just cool. That's it. And then whatever the tools told me, like TF-IDF, BM25, whatever, all these different like algorithmic, any tool that has a score associated with it, these are the algorithms that they're using, is basically, term frequency. And it's just, that was the old way. So the semantic approach, or the topical authority approach, is designed to cover an entity and in its fullness in the context that I choose. Because you can cover the same topic in so many different ways. I might be able to apply the context of kids to maybe a learning or exercise program. The way that kids exercise will be entirely different than how an adult exercises, but it's still part of the overarching exercise guide,
Yeah.
So I don't care about the individual keyword difficulty anymore. I don't care about the search volume anymore. Yeah. I just want to make sure that the title or H1 targets something with volume, but it's less about the volume and the difficulty, and it's more about the topic having volume. Because I know we've already talked about this, but we both know that our writers, if we choose the right topic and have like a good topic cluster, topic map, then, and we give them a good content brief of, hey, here's the outline, then I already know that this is going to get searches. It just will. And if it doesn't immediately, that's okay. Another part of the Google algorithm is that the whole reason Rank Brain is there is because 15% of searches, it has no idea what the hell's going on. And they needed an algorithm to basically decide, hey, how do we figure this out? And how do we rank things and pull up results in these situations? So I think that a lot of content which might have zero volume would probably fit under that. And if you know that a user is interested, this is down to search intent. So if you know that the search intent is likely this, X, and you
Right.
know that a variation of that search intent is this, is Y, then if you create a piece of content, even if the volume says 0, but maybe the topic itself has volume, I just
Yeah.
trust that the algorithm's going to do what the algorithm does. And the algorithm is there in Google's patent documentation. And it's not just
Yeah.
Google, it's every search engine. It's just how machine learning works. So that's why I'm confident
Exactly.
this is my way now.
Yeah, exactly. It's really what is when you work the semantic ways, you focus on topics rather than just keyword data. So like you say, volume metrics like difficulty doesn't really matter. I remember last year I created a new niche site, and then it was like a DR2 at
Mhm.
the when I post my case study on this, and then I was outranking sites on like DR50, 60. And then the keyword difficulty, it was not super hard, but it was still, I think, at 30 something in href. So
Mhm.
it was considered pretty difficult. And I was still ranking with a DR2 dominance. So I don't stop really with the keywords matrix. I do a similar approach, like I really focus on the topics that are connected, and I ensure that I will cover everything that is connected with each other. And then I start from there. So I will start with my core topic. I will illustrate all subtopics from that core topic, and I will see the connections between there and scale from that. I like to start with a topic foundation. I call this that way because for me it's just like it's it's like a topic clusters of all main topics, and then after that most keywords would be like one or two words. It's like just the topics, and then it's a p articles on all these core subtopics.
Yep.
And then after that I can expand that specific topics, and then I can it's the way I prefer to do, because lots of people will just try to rank for long tail keyword. It doesn't have any foundation, but they still write about the topics that doesn't have the foundations. Yeah, I don't think it's a good way to do it, because over time they would just the ranking would just drop, because they won't have the typical authority to rank for that. Probably a competitor will have better typical authority, and often we see these posts on social media like, oh, I have like, I don't know, 100s, 200s visitors a day, and I just launched this site a few months back. But then they just target keywords that nobody wants to target. Like
Mhm.
there's traffic, but I mean there's no competition, so there's no really merits. Okay, but when you really want to rank in a competitive space, you really need to add the productivity, because it's their expertise. In fact, it's just Google want to see the expertise, and the best way for Google to gauge your expertise is to analyze all the content on your site and see if you covered all the topics that touch to specific things, and see if you are right about this topic. Because yes, it's about writing about all the connected topic, but it's also to be factual, because I believe Google can understand if the content you have right, if it's right or if it's wrong, based on the data it used. But it's something that I have made a test on this when I was in partnership with another guy, and we had uh, the topic was soundproofing. Okay,
Mhm.
and it was at the time we were experiencing it a lot. Okay, and we believed that if we will use a real expert in soundproofing, like with an active LinkedIn profile, and ask him to write the article, then it will just rank, because that's a real expert. He know this stuff. And then what's happened is the article never ranked, because for Google perceptions, the guy we write on the soundproofing was probably wrong, because everything we write in the first articles, these experts say it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. But everything that was in this article, it was the information we were found on their internet. So for Google, we use the same data as we use. So our article for Google was right. But when we asked a real expert to review it and change it, then everything never rank just because for Google it's not the right information. So that's like it's tricky a bit because if you want to write expert content, you want to be right in your niche, but what is right for you may not be right for Google. So that's the tricky things to deal with.
Yeah, that's so tricky. I'd say that's probably the hardest thing for me to automate. I'm still seeking a way to make it quicker. And I know that there are ways with you could build something with Python and use like these open source libraries with different algorithms, whether it's BERT or whatever it is, scraping sitemaps. You could do all sorts of different things. The thing that's hard to do, to just sum it up, is it's not about whether this is actually right. It's about, is this what Google believes is right? And what Google believes is right is attached to the authority sites, the people that are ranking for these terms. What do they say? If they're saying something different, you can't just say something totally against that and expect to rank. There are ways to do it semantically, I believe. That's part of the whole topical authority thing. And it's more like baby stepping it. And like, you need to build these bridges to be able to like, I guess, just create some sort of difference of, hey, it's actually, here's like a nuance. And then you have another page that nuances and nuances and nuances. But yeah, you have to be a topical authority to be able to, or just a literal authority, if you're going to be able to use an expert and just expect rankings because your expert is creating great content, which sucks. I wish your test was better, or it was just like instant rankings.
Yeah, I will have hope, but unfortunately not. All right. Yeah, it's a question, but I think I already know the question. We already talked quickly about it. But how much importance you allocate to the search intent when you prepare your brief or your content or your outlines, whatever.
It's probably like the thing that I look at. It's the search intent beyond just transactional, informational, but what does the searcher want? What do they want to learn? What do they expect to see? That's the whole reason I go and look at my competitors, is because it's telling me that, and then I look at the PAA and I look at like what are those related searches? If you type mortgages or FHA mortgage or whatever into Google search, you'll see all these SERP features that it's telling you the search intent. And it's dissecting it for you. It's saying, okay, people want to know about types. They want to know the rates, and they want to know how to do this and when to do this and this situation. And like, okay, then you could just look at, this is what I believe keyword clustering tools are good for. You then cluster some of these things and go, okay, does it deserve its own article, or does it belong in some other article? And that's kind of I would say the shortcut to figure that out is use some keyword clustering.
Yeah, and to analyze the search intent, a great way that, by the way, to leverage GPT-4 is that exactly like you say, we extract the data from the SERP, and then we send this to AI, and then analyze this and give me a profile of the user for what he's looking for. And I think something that I integrate in my search and analysis, and I think it's something that people doesn't really look for, but it's something for me is really important, is the meta descriptions, because it's like a hack, because Google is showing you what Google wants to know based on the content that they rank. And when you look at the meta descriptions, most of the time they have been rewritten, and then they will show you an answers, and these answers is part of an answers of what a user want to know. So it's part of a search intent. So based on that, all the answers that we find in the meta descriptions, it tells you a profile of the questions the user may have, and it helps you to build an outline that will answers all these questions and cover all the topics, because most of the time you will have subtopics that you need to cover as well in the SERP. So I really like AI for this
with meta descriptions.
Yeah.
It's just
Pretty,
frustrating when they rewrite them.
yeah, yeah. Feature snippet is also something that is really important for the search engine analysis. It's
Yeah.
you don't have on all the keywords, but when you have it, it gives you a big insight on what you need to cover in your article.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to cover, I don't know what your next thing is, but I know helpful content update. I think I'd be curious to hear what you think on that, because I have one thought that I don't see many people talking about. Maybe Matt Diggity's talked about it, but I'm curious how you've what do you do for helpful content, and is semantic SEO automatically helpful content, or is it, do you need to do something else? Is it search intent? What is it for you?
It's both. It's totally both. In my opinion, the helpful content update is at least is treating, but the latter is connected with. But it's you have first the semantic way, because it's important that Google understand the content, and we know that Google announced that they made great progress in understanding context recently. They push on new algorithms, and they made really a big change there. So it could be the case probably that the site that have been declining traffic probably just they were not really optimized, or maybe covered the topics enough in depth. And with the better understanding now of Google, they got impacted. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
Second thing is definitely the user experience. We talk about this, like the user arrive on your article, then click on the back button and move to another article. If you have a lots of users that do that on your site, you're dead. It's what you want to avoid the most. So it's why search intent is really important, and it's why everyone that work to that want to write an article about a specific keyword really need to proceed with a search engine analysis, because you need that information before proceeding with the outline brief. I think it's connected. So semantic understanding on context and topics, and the user experience, search intent, it's both connected together. I think it's really related to that. I think the people that has been impacted negatively to that should really do a search and analysis on their keywords.
Mhm.
And probably if they look at their outlines, probably they do not cover everything that they should.
Yeah.
And probably the many important topics that need to be covered as well are not covered in their outlines. So that's probably the two things, in my opinion, that made that people has been impacted badly by the helpful content update. And what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I completely agree. The only thing I'd add, and I think this is the other thing people are missing when they are when they're doing like a helpful content recovery type thing, is I would say that helpful content is defined by users and user metrics. If
Yeah,
content has no user metrics, that is unhelpful content. Google's trusting its own system. If you have content and it has no metrics on this, that's bad. And another word for that is, this is called content pruning, but you should probably prune some stuff, because I believe that if your site, if your page has existed for 6 months or higher and has no traffic at all, no rankings at all,
hmm,
that's probably a page that you need to delete, because helpful content is applying to your whole website. And the more pages that exist that have no value,
yeah,
it's almost like a value statement on the website. So get rid of it. Those old press releases, get rid of it. Your any page
yeah.
that doesn't need to be indexed, no index.
Yeah, it's like a waste of link equity, because firstly you will just send link equity to those page, and then they don't rank anyway, so they are just a waste of link juice, or whatever the terms you use it.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's really a thing, but I like to use that terms. I call this topic solutions, because the goal of topic authority is to increase authority, increase your expertise in covering the topics with all the subtopics, and covering the more articles you have on specific topics, you gain in topic authority. But what's happened if you do the opposite? That you have a website, I don't know, about uh, home decorations, and then you start writing about, I don't know, fishing. It's like these topics are definitely not connected with each other, and one may impact the others. So it's what I call topic solutions, and it's where I believe content running is really something that can definitely solve that problem.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the idea, I really like the definition that Cora gave for this, but the contextual bridging, the idea that if you're going to expand into other categories, then you need to build a bridge there. And the bridge can't just go straight from home decorations to, like you said, something like fishing, unless you somehow built some content around fish or the act of fishing or something you can do as a result of fishing as home ornamentation. And maybe it's like talking about fish that you can hang on the wall and all these different things. Like you got to find the way to connect that if you're going to actually try to rank and make that something that is valid for your site. And that actually works for buying. I keep seeing John in here. I'm sure he knows this too, as someone who works with expired domains. But if you want to squeeze the most juice out of an expired domain too, if it's about something that's not exactly your topic, but you can find a way to bridge it, build that content bridge on your site, then redirect that other thing, and you're going to have something that's now seen as relevant because you built the contextual connection. And I think it's just a hard task to do. If you don't understand semantic SEO or topical authority or any of these terms associated with it, you're not able to do things like that, which highlights the importance of like knowing it, understanding it, mastering this.
Yeah.
John asked something, by the way. I don't know if you wanted to answer it.
Yeah, I wouldn't shoot you, John, because I do rank on Bings for one project and really good traffics. So I would say that it really depends of your audience. Okay, John. For me, I have a website for seniors, and then they are all on Bing because they doesn't know how to install Chrome or whatever it is. But yeah, I think it's you are a older audience. It will be good thing like seniors, elderly. But for or the new generations definitely stay on Chrome, I guess. But Bing, I don't know. I think Bing will never really succeed as a search engine. It's my thought. They can still generate some traffic like I have on one of my project, but it's not something that I will make probably 20,000 per month just because I have big traffic. It's not something that doesn't have the power of traffic that Google can generate. But it's free traffics and everything is free, and we just enjoy.
Yeah. I think that from what I can tell, Bing relies a little bit more on link authority than Google does at this point. Because a semantic content network, like the whole idea of topical authority, I'm not seeing that reflected with Bing. Bing's not going to, you're not going to get a keyword difficulty 60 term on a DR0 site. You're just not going to see that rank on Bing, but it will on Google, in my experience. Yeah. I'm not an expert though. That's just what
Bing algorithm is definitely basic. It's probably Google like 5 years ago. I think it's something like that. It's probably have a few years in backyard if you compare with Google. Google definitely have a better technology to understand context. It's why the content has take a lot more importance in the past probably 2-3 years than it was before, because before you could just throw a bunch of links and you will rank probably for almost everything. But now I think content is I think I can say that content is now the king and backlink is now the queen. It has been a topics of discussions for years in this industry. I don't know what's your thoughts on that. Do you think that link is still the king, or it's like it's a mix?
And I think content is king.
Yeah,
but
I think so too.
It is an incompetent king that requires a queen if it's going to actually remain and reign. Is how I view it. Because like I think I mentioned this earlier, but like a topical authority is not quite like, it's not real authority. in the sense of like how we understand authority, because authority it's not a replacement for PageRank. PageRank is still there, and I honestly think topical authority is honestly like a little bit confusing as a term, because it's really just you're leveraging 10 different algorithms or something like that in unison, optimizing the content around that, and gaming the system like that will work. But I don't see anyone retaining those sorts of rankings unless links are involved. So
you need link. What do you think about Google that say that backlink is not even in the top ranking factor? Do you believe that?
Then it's position 3.1 or position
yeah,
whatever it is. And like the first 3 are all about content. So really it's content links. That's how Google's always mischievous like that. So links are number 2 in my book for importance. But
maybe user
other
experience
3 are probably like understanding content and all that kind of stuff.
I still believe that things still really matter a lot. And what you thought about the web currently, Steve? I mean, what I mean is there's a lot of people that spam your content on the web, so it's not a surprise because it's accessible. It's
spam AI.
cheap.
Is that you said?
Yeah. They use AI to spam the web with lots of content. We see a lot of people doing experiment like they post like 2,000 articles in one day, something like that. And where I think what will happen now is links will probably take a bit more importance, because now everyone can theoretically write good content, because AI, it's a bit boring because it's almost all the same tone, except that if you like, you fine tune your home model or something like that, but it's still always the same tone, but it's still good content, better than the average on what we have on the web. So before, if you had good content, you have a hedge over the competitions. So links were a bit less important. But now that everyone can publish good content out of the box, what's going on? I think links will take some more value now, because Google need to balance things off. So I think, I still believe that content is number 1, but I don't think backlinks will move from number 2. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, same here.
It's like the word of mouth. It's like a business. If nobody talk about this business, suggest to friends, it's that backlink is like this. It's just a word of mouth. You recommend something to another one. So that just doesn't make sense that they remove that aspect of the algorithms. So.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do think that there are more ways though than just backlinks that Google can rely on. So I think probably you could throw in some algorithms about the content. You could have certain trigger words that devalue the content. You have user metrics. You have content diversity. You have name or brand prominence, which doesn't necessarily involve backlinks. It's just mentions across the web. Then you have the structure of content could be, are you structuring it where the headings are like semantically structured? Because just because you're writing good content or the content that's triggering all these things doesn't mean that you've actually structured it in the most logical way. So I think that it could still increase weights there, and then throw in some little like traps. I remember I had a client with traps. This happens all the time on the web, but I believe who's the one that, Steam does this. So Steam doesn't want people pirating games. So what does it do? It actually includes a free game in every time you download Steam. There's a free game there, but the only way you can do it is basically by outing yourself. Even if it's free, you have to out yourself that you have the ability to pirate games. So you immediately go into a bucket of people where now you're a bad apple. And I think Google could throw those little landmines, whatever that looks like. I'm sure there's a way to do it. And that'll be what I'm looking out for, is prompting AI to then be like, okay, here's a landmine I think exists. Let's make sure that we throw in a brand name somewhere in the article. Let's make sure that a perspective is in the article, or a certain amount of images are in the article. Who knows what that looks like? But yeah, backlinks will be one of the things I think that increases. But there's other things too that could be there.
Yeah. And it's what is you believe are the best backlinks in now is current state of SEO? Because there's many posts I see sometimes that people like post really outdated to me link building tactic. I'm just curious to know what's your thoughts on that, or what you believe are good links.
Niche relevant, high traffic, appropriate traffic. I don't really care about domain rating that much, unless we're talking like DR90. Like a DR90 link is just the only way you can get that is to have such exponential authority that it kind of covers up a multitude of sins. I don't care how spammy that site is. If you have DR90, I want a link from you. So relevance, that could be anything, local relevance, niche relevance. And then referring domains is what I'm looking for. So I'm not necessarily looking for backlink count. I just want to look at my referring domain count. And I look at referring domain count specifically within a topic cluster. So I'm not looking at total referring domains across a website. I'm looking at how many domains do I need links from within this cluster alone. And then the last piece of it is I'm buying, for the most part, niche edits. And or link insertions, whatever you want to call it, and digital PR. Digital PR I like because even though it's typically $5,000 for a digital PR campaign, if you're to outsource it.
It's very expensive. It's not for every business.
Yeah, you could do a bigger one too. Like Fractal is going to be $12,000, $15,000, and then you have some other ones that are much cheaper. Anyway, so with the $5,000 campaign though, what you can get is typically, I don't know, 10 backlinks from really good sources for $5,000. That's not bad. And you know what? You created traffic on your website at the same time, and you have a piece of content.
Because these sites have traffic on there.
Yeah, it's just, I think it should be about that. But yeah, digital PR, I'd say, is probably about, I'm going to rely on that one about 25%, 30% of the time. And then link insertions about, I don't know, I'll do link insertions probably like 60% of the time, and then I might do guest post or something after that.
Yeah. What you thought about link diversity? Because there's a lot of people that believe that if you build the only same type of links, you will probably get penalized for that. So they try to create different links there and there. Example, someone that just create guest post links, someone that just create link insert or whatever. They just really focus on one type of links. It's like a footprint for Google's. What you thought about that?
I don't really care about it. Personally, I'm not looking at that. I think that if it's a guest post, let's define that real quick, is basically just a blog article somewhere on a root domain. It's a Web 2 link if it's not a root. And that's what I'm going to qualify it as, because that's, for the majority of the time, it's right. So root domain, blog, link. All right, well, that's what a niche edit is too. How are people going to mention you? It's not going to be on a landing page. Why would anyone send someone away from a commercial intent page or like a bottom of the funnel transactional intent page? So I don't understand why that's even a thing, because every link I'm getting is a blog. The only other difference is maybe if you're local, you could have citations and directories and social profiles, but that goes into, I'm not trying to get that because of link diversity. I'm trying to get that because those are almost free. And it's a great way to kick off a site where I'm spending very little time and money, and I get just enough authority to be prioritized a little bit, and then I'm good to go. But I'm not looking at it as I need this. I haven't done tests to prove this. This is just how I see. I don't have a problem ranking, and this is how.
Are you still building like comments links, forum links?
I stopped that. I used to sell those services. I don't do any of that anymore. I don't do any of it. Don't care about it. It's just not worth my time. Now that I liked it because it was so scalable. And I had
Yeah.
4 full-time servers running that were $350 a month to run, that had like an ungodly amount of power, and it ran tools 24/7. I
Yeah.
don't do
Like
that anymore.
JSA.
Now it's just AI, because like I'd way rather build systems to scale my content production and my content
Yeah.
optimization rather than those backlink stuff. Just focus on quality backlinks
Yeah.
and have some sort of heartbeat. I think as long as you have a heartbeat, you're fine.
Yeah. 2 years ago, I was looking for a sites that were selling on MP flippers. One of my friends on Facebook told me, "Can you look at this site? I would like to buy it." And then I got a look, and believe it or not, the site was $120,000. So it was a good sums. And then I looked at the backlinks profile, and believe it or not, it was only comment links. I was like
Oh,
mind blowing. 2 years ago, probably that this site has been trashed since probably. But even at this time, I was like, what? We can still rank and sell a site for 6 figure with like 3 links. What the hell? But yeah, that was really true and was really yeah, it was mind blowing. But I don't know if it's actually the case. I don't think so.
I mean, you
And
could make money and get comment or get those kind of backlinks by just selling. Put a little section on your website, use it, get AI, do your semantic stuff, get some traffic, and then put a little section that says "Write for us" for whatever any niche, depending on what you cover. And then people will contact you. You could sell those backlinks, and people who are doing that send links to those guest posts that you've sold. So
yeah,
there you go. You just got your blog comments for free and you made some money at the same time. So like, if that's what you want to do, go for it.
yeah. There's a lot of creativity you can do in SEO.
Yeah, I'm not recommending that for everybody. I'm just saying that's something you can do. Selling backlinks is a totally fine way to get extra backlinks actually to your site.
Yeah. Do you have any special opinion on private blog network? For me, years ago, I had a decent size PBN network. I think I had something like 350 PBN sites, something like that. It was at the time I had my VPN sites, and then I was making really good money, and my PBN really helped me to rank these sites. But over time, I really closed out that because it was a big mess to deal with. But now I have talked with a few people about that, people that I know that were using PBNs recently. And then most of them told me their efficiency has dropped a lot. Like it's almost not worth anymore. What is your thought about that?
I think that's all about how you've managed your PBN network and where you're getting these links from. I personally don't want to manage a PBN network. It's a lot of work, a lot of time. I just don't think
Yeah.
it's a stable way of doing business. I also don't think that PBNs are the most valuable kinds of links. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I think every links that have a recurring cost should be just ignored, avoid,
agreed.
because yeah, like link rental, whatever you use it, it should just be avoided because there's no way you can scale your SEO campaign if you have always a recurring cost to cover
It's
initially.
so expensive. That's the thing is like it's that cost adds up so much and it's
Yeah,
so difficult. That's why I don't want to do those like comment things. I just am tired of a bajillion subscriptions and all the things associated with the subscriptions if it's not providing a certain level of impact, and if I can't trust on that level of impact staying fairly the same, I don't really want to mess with it anymore. I'm at a stage where I would rather focus on other things. Yeah, this is not me saying that those things don't work. They do. Like you could do a lot of black hat things that work. It's just saying that I would rather spend that time and money in other ways that are also helpful and more dependable, and
yeah,
it aligns with the way I want to live.
yeah. I agree with that. Um, yeah. What is your thought about AI content versus human writing content?
Yeah. So I don't know if I have a super hot take here, but I think that humans have a greater ability to gather the exact type of research you want. That doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean it's a writer, but you could scrape stuff. There's ways to use AI even for this. But I want to rely on writers to gather appropriate research. And then basically there's one extra perk that I think authors have that while it can be gamed, if you want it to not be gamed, it's authorship, and authorship is literally like it's a ranking factor now, and it's a what is that term? Oh, it's a patent. There's a patent on authorship. I think authorship vectors or something like that. And the idea is if you have an author that's actually tied, an important one that's tied to certain pieces of content on the internet, and he's writing content for you or she's writing content for you, then ideally you would have a better chance of ranking. And that's another thing that you can do. We were talking about backlinks earlier. Gaining importance or becoming less important. Authorship importance is probably a good one. So that's one. So I've also just created fake experts. It's pretty easy to do that. The downside of human authors for me is that they don't typically write in a way that Google prefers, as you said with your expert, and they mistakenly believe that their writing is preferred by the audience. I see this where it's like, oh yeah, but our brand wants to sound this way or do this, this or that. Sometimes a brand is right, and I'll be wrong. But for the most part, if you're just writing informational content, you're trying to rank on the web, I don't really care about the fluff. I don't know a single person who cares about, that human factor. What people care about, and just look on NerdWallet or bankrate.com or look at Forbes.com, look at the type of content that they're writing. Is there personality to it? Not really. They want to nail search intent, and they just want to structure things in a way that's easy to skim, because people are just looking to get exactly to the piece of information they want. So I'd say like that's the one thing that human writers had was like, oh, but what about the human element? I don't really care. So that part, no anymore. Now for me, AI content, it has scale, affordability, reliability. It has the capability to follow my specific instructions, and it reduces the time to actually do the work. So if you actually get a scalable process, then it's great. But the downside is if you don't have a really good process and you've really spent a ton of time on AI, you're likely getting AI that is, obviously this is wave one of AI. We're going to hit a second wave where like, I think there'll be more intelligence. People will understand how to prompt more. But producing words like delve and critical and all those words that suck, it's also, AI is limited to the information it has. So, you need to give it good information. But yeah, I think AI is going to be most of my writing, man. Going forward on websites, 90% of all content that will exist on a website is going to be from an AI algorithm.
And how your clients are open to that? I mean, you deal with a lot of clients for this.
I'm talking about my preferences. Clients still prefer humans, or a hybrid, like a 50-50 hybrid. So that's what we do at Helium. That's what we do. Helium has one of the reasons why I work for Helium is they built their own AI tool that's also integrating with like a content management system or like project management, but for content. So it's really easy to give feedback and stuff, and it has outlines and all sorts of stuff. So I really like that for when I'm working with clients. But my honest opinion is that clients should rely more on AI, less on humans, and then spend much less time fussing around about things that just don't matter. They matter to them, but they think their audience cares more than they actually care.
Yeah, there's one thing that I really like from AI, but I think we are not still ready, at least for me, that I use that at least for my clients, because probably with the evolution with AI, I will probably offer this, but for now, it's really I focus on your human element. I think AI is not at the step that I would be comfortable to use it. Of course, I will have project. I will do my own experimentation, of course.
Yeah.
But I think what will make really me jumping in the train is when we will be able to fine tune GPT-4. So it's what I'm personally waiting. And GPT 3.5, despite the fact that we can fine tune it, personally, it's not good enough for me, even if it's fine tuned. But what I like with AI is if you have a writer, it could be good for a specific topic, but could be not good for another topic. While the AI is just good at everything because it knows so many things. That's one thing. I think from a business perspective, like a SaaS or a business that's selling a project that is solving a problem, I think AI can be leveraged in a really smart way because your writer doesn't have psychology, example, capacity to understand the psychology and manipulate the consumer if you want. While the AI can create like you have like the psychology state, like you have your problem, you understand your problem, now you're looking for solutions, and now you have the solutions. All these steps are hard for a human to write and then think about the psychology way how it's interpret the user when he read article, while the AI is good at everything, so you can just say like fine tune it or whatever. So the when it will write, it would just try to manipulate the psychology of the user as you read, and then could probably help with conversation rate after all. So yeah, there's a lot of experimentations, but I think it's well an advantage that AI have over human. It's like the super capacity of knowledge of about everything, every topics, and of course, I'm bad for the writers because it will come a day that we won't need them anymore.
Yeah.
But
They'll be more
it's
like consultants rather than writers, I think. It'll be like topic consultants.
yeah, probably really good writers will like manage the AI agent to write something like that. It would become manager, editor. But yeah, lots of people will lose their job for sure because GPT is like is evolving pretty fast. It's just
Mhm.
the step between GPT-3 and 4, how big it was in terms of quality.
2 and
Uh,
3 too, like two massive steps in a row.
yeah, so imagine when they will release GPT-5. So, and
I
I think
what do you think
we
then
are.
about I had a question on what you said so far. So if AI can't do what you want it to do at this current stage because you want to fine tune something, what about using AI, building AI processes around fine tuning, and then having like a researcher? So you use AI to write the content, then you have another AI go in, takes that content plus maybe some extra directions or something, the additional research or whatever that you put together, or whatever it is that you want, that you believe is important, and then you kind of have a system for going through and improving and injecting whatever those things are to get you to where you go. So a two-step system as opposed to just one. Is that something doable, or are you doing something like that right now, or would that not
Uh,
fit the bill for what you're
no,
looking for?
I'm not doing that. But what you just said, I think, is the future. I mean, when GPT-4 fine tuning will be released, it will be possible at this point that you fine tune specific skill sets in different models, and you could create your own AI agent, and then they could works together through a platform like Makes.com, Zapier, whatever you are using.
Mhm.
And I think as soon GPT-4 fine tuning will be released, it will be a major gaps because GPT-4 is really good. I mean, it does almost everything I need, but there's specific things that are with precisions that this doesn't do well. It's because they are not trained for
With
that. So
precision, you said?
yeah, precisions. I mean, when you want that GPT-4 do something in a precise way, exactly what you want. For many things, you can use the function API calling function that help really because it will create the output exactly what like you want. But in some case, like for analysis, template, something like that, is not perfect with GPT-4. And I and the problem the the product. The thing that with GPT-4 normal model, there's not weight balance between different things. It's like it's equal to everything. What is great with fine tuning is you can give more weight. Example to uh, let's say that you want to rather specific on a niche, so you could fine tune your models with everything about these specific topics, and explain how you want it to manage that, and just the way you train it, it will do it, because the fine tuned data sets has a weight much more superior than everything else. So it's why in the fine tuning it's good to give a lot of samples. It's why they ask you 50 over 100 example, because the more sample you have, the more weight the AI will have to will take. I'm trying to find the good English words for that, but I think you understand what I mean. It's
Yeah.
just the fine tuning data set as more important than the normal data set that they have for the normal the normal model. So if you want to train a team of AI model AI agent, you could exactly do that. But we need GPT-4 fine tuning for that, and that could be exactly like you say. Uh, just give me an example. Example that you have your one process to do semantic. So you could fine tune GPT-4
Mhm.
with replicate exactly your process when you do SEO. So every step of what you do, you create the input of the prompt, and then the output is what you have made. So the result of your work, and you do that for a lot. The example topic cluster questions. So at this point, you will have trained your AI model with your one process, with your one work, and then the AI model will be able to replicate of that what what you do. So it's where the fine tuning will really play a big role, I think, in every businesses, because it can literally replace humans, and I think it's why people are scared about AI agent, because the way they have shown this is like it's carrying at some point, because it's looked like that at some point in maybe 5 years, 10 years, maybe much before, I don't know. It could really just be like a software that you install in your computer that just track everything you do. And then after 6 months, 12 months of training at spying what you do, you could continue to work for you. It's like something like that. And the number of costs you will have to pay in tokens will be much less than paying for an employee. So I think it's where we are going with AI. AI for me, it's excellent for entrepreneur because it opens up lots of opportunities for
Mhm.
us. Uh, for the guys that are like just employees and doesn't have the entrepreneurship, that they just like virtual assistant, people in these will have probably a bad time to find a way to make money in the future. So that's
They'll
my
just
thoughts.
run the AI tools because they're still. It takes time. So I mean, we'll still need VAs. They'll just run the AI, whether it's a back end tool that you've made yourself or whether it's some front end thing. Even with my tool, like it's super easy to write content, but it's depending on the amount of projects you have and how much your time is worth. Man, still hiring a VA is going to make sense. But I think, yeah, we're going to see massive drop off of the amount of people that can work in certain
But
industries. VAs will be one of them. Same with, I guess, junior SEOs. We're just going to see this like broad 30% removal of the workforce. It'll still be there, but like AI replaces a good chunk.
yeah, it depends for what the VI is doing, because VA normally do simple tasks, and everything that is simple can be easily replaced with AI. I will just give you an example. This year I wanted to start doing digital PR,
Yep.
and then I just create a custom GPT. First, we could probably talk about the custom GPT just after,
Yeah, yeah.
but I just wanted to make an experiment, and then I load Excel file with a list of digital reporters. and all the topics they cover everything. I have like a database of like 5,000 reporters, and then I just ask to custom GPT to give me all the reporters that covered these specific topics in the last 6 months. And then it did the job. It created me a report Excel file, and I have a list of all the reporters that covered that specific topics in the last 6 months, because I had this all this data in my initial file. And then this is the typical job that can be easily replaced with by AI. IVA could probably take a few days of work just to create that list,
Mhm.
and AI did it like 1 minute. It's just crazy. So I think it's all about how we leverage AI that can make a difference, because the creativity is endless. Honestly, whatever you want, it can do it. You just have to show him, and with the fine tuning, what is not possible now will be possible afterwards. So I'm really excited for the fine tuning on GPT-4. I'm waiting it with impatience.
So I know you're a huge fan of the fine tuning. I actually don't like fine tuning. I think it makes it. I'm a fan of few shot learning, the zero shot, few shot, and fine tuning. Few shot or fine tuning is way too expensive if you use it at least with OpenAI and fine tune GPT-4 or whatever model. I would rather have like specific, like a given example, and have it try to match that example, and then have other AI systems in place that are just given a set of instructions on how to edit or how to evaluate whatever it is that you've created, and then give an output, and then create another, send it to the next system that's trained specifically with one example or whatever it is, two examples of, hey, here's how to then do this. Here's the short code. Here's what was analyzed. Here's what was identified. But that way, you're still able to get all the magic of GPT-4. I'm using a GPT-4 Turbo, and you can still use that without all those crazy costs, without the complicated. You don't need to know code even really. But yeah, that's working just great for me. So I don't even know what fine tuning would do for me at
Yeah,
this
I
point.
guess it depends of what you need it to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
In
guess.
general, no matter what you need to do, I think that with enough AI systems with system text directions, because the system text context is huge. Like I can write an
Yeah.
entire book in my system text. So why not just create like a burger line in McDonald's, right? You have your AI that's for the flipping of the burgers. You have the one for the French fries. You have one for here's your order. And don't try to, I think the problem is we want the single context or single AI thing to be like, hey, do it all. I want you to flip the burger and this and this.
Uh,
But just if you add
I
layers,
think
I think it works well.
actually they work to increase the context size of their models. Uh, However, I think it's a good thing, but it's just for the prompts. I mean, it's just for the input and output prompts.
Yeah.
I think where it will really evolve is the when we will be able to create uh, like an AI assistant with a memory, so you can work with it. Then when you do something wrong, you tell him and you train him, and he keep in a vector
I love
memory everything. So over time it would just get smaller because the memory would become bigger. I think it's it's what will be really game changing in the AI industry. It's AI agents. A lot of people are talking about it. We don't really know exactly how they will works, but I think it's how it should be works. Is look, they have like a vector memory, and then we will pay for that. And the more memory increase, probably we will have a cost that will increase as well. But it just mean the higher memory, the bigger memory they have, the more smarter they are, and you can train them, tell them what they are doing wrong, and they will learn with that and don't replicate the same mistake. That is something that I think would be really big.
It'd be awesome.
Uh, yeah, that would be really nice for
Yeah, I
sure.
would love that. I know that you're talking about something more advanced, but uh, at the very base, baseline. We have embeddings already, like vector embeddings that you can use. You don't even
Yeah.
need OpenAI for it, but you can store all your knowledge in there, whatever you have, and that's nice.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
but it's not going to learn, and it won't improve. But I at least like having a cheap AI model as memory. I love that idea of just like, at least right now, like the first wave of AI, we already have
yeah.
something like that, and it's pretty
Yeah.
easy too to use. You don't even need to be a developer to
Yeah.
create a basic version of that.
Yeah, I know actually they have vector memory that you can do that, but I think it's just good for data extraction, something like that. Isn't it's not it's not the
Mm,
same process as really learning bits. So it's like a step that they have not been released yet.
yeah.
But that would be good to have this at the this year, like a uh, OpenAI update will release the agent with GPT for fine tuning.
Mhm.
That will be the greatest year.
Google, and I think this is where Google and Bing will. Bing, I think if they rush to do this, I think this would probably be really good.
Microsoft with Copilot Studio, they released
Yep.
something like that. They call it AI Gen,
Yep.
and as soon as I have seen the trailer, the announcement, I wanted to give it a try because I was not happy with custom GPT,
Yep.
and I seen that and the way they made their ads, I was like, that looks cool. I want to try it. But the problem right now is just it's reserved for a big business. You need a minimum of 200 Office 365 license. So of
Uh,
course it's not open to everyone, but it's looking good on paper. But can't wait to have it open to the public because I
yeah,
really wanted to test it. It looks really cool.
man. I this is a side topic. This is my conspiracy theory ish type thing on Google. So there's like two elements of the AI domination that I think is going to come into play here, and one is OpenAI versus Google's AI. Sure, those are like two of the biggest ones. Claude 2, I guess we'll throw that in the mix. But there's so much computational power, and what is
Yeah,
required for all this computation is materials. A material that's only being used more and more and more by other sectors in the world. And I'm curious if the dominant player is the one that gets ahead of the game with the materials that they're using. I noticed that Google decided to go a different route than NVIDIA did. And anyway, so my conspiracy theory, or my theory, is that Google will end up winning this war for AI purely based off of like it has a 15-year vision or something, and it's planning ahead, but for a resource that's more plentiful that it will have major ownership over.
yeah,
But yeah, I listen to like those talks from like NVIDIA scientists and stuff too of like what powers the AI. I think that's just as interesting to me as the actual AI output, the generational
yeah,
AI.
yeah. I totally agree. Um, hey, it's really already 2 hours that we
Yeah,
talk.
I know it's a lot.
It's yeah. I think we covered probably all the. Oh yeah, I just want to hand on custom GPT. If you see my notes, it sucks. I just want to tell my personal opinion on custom GPT, and I think we will close the podcast on that one.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, but yeah, custom GPT, when I have seen the announcement, I was like, wow, like a no codes of AI that like looks really cool. And then I was following the hype. I was super excited until I see the result. I
Mhm.
mean, it's the temperature setting is going to trash all the potential of that. Honestly, that's all about that because the creativity is set to one and it's way too much for almost everything. It's just good like to create like I don't know uh, science articles something like that. I mean it's not it's I'm being pretty yeah it's okay for data extractions like you have Excel and you
Mm,
ask to extracting, but don't ask it to do anything because the creative side of the AI would just take over everything of your instructions. You have tried I think over 20 instructions and none have worked despite me being super strict with the prompt. And then the same prompt on OpenAI GPT-4 with lower temperature settings, and I have all the data I need. So yeah, so it's a big no for me, unfortunately for that. But if they can implement the custom temperature settings, which I'm sure they will never do because it's how they lock their API users, but that could probably be a potential features on OpenAI. But what is your thought? Have you tried it?
With custom GPTs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried them. I don't like them. The files that they store aren't good. Like the way that they pull the information is bad. What I've noticed, and this is my whole thing with the reason why I use layers of AI that have different system text to accomplish different things, because the system text with GPT-4 Turbo, like that's the GPT-4 1106 preview. So that's what I'm using now for everything. And it's great. It follows system text I can have a lot of system text and it follows it. So I prefer that way over the custom GPTs. Like you said, there's just it's wonky. It is just not what I would want at all. I do believe that it's kind of like an attempt to create something that's similar to what you had described earlier, which is like have your own GPT that is like trained on your stuff and follows you around. Like it's kind of the beginning of like an ecosystem where that could be that. But
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
so early. Like this is not. It's like that drawing of like I don't know if you've seen like the agency drawing of the horse, but it's like, hey, this is like if the client's expectation, client budget, and that's kind of what I'm seeing is like, I had that we both had an expectation of wow, custom GPTs, and this is beautiful, beautiful thing, and then we get this
yeah.
like the actual product is just like a hideous monster that's not. Why
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
reveal this right
It
now?
was
It's not ready.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good marketing. I mean, the presentations, everything was really great from a marketing point of view. But it's like you say, it's just we are not ready for that. And at this point, it's a good step forward for what I think they're trying to achieve. Probably they just wanted to give like a demo of what they would like to implement in the futures, because I have no doubt that OpenAI will become probably a platform that will allow people to do no codes and build stuff, etc. But for now, it's not really. I remember that I asked it something, and Custom GPT say like, okay, I need to create a script to do that, and then it gave me a Python errors because the code was not working. It was a simple function, probably with a low temperature settings, it
Yep.
will write the good code. But just because it was creative, it did not match the functions in the Python script. It was ridiculous.
It's frustrating. I feel like if someone gets into AI, they're at this stage, it's kind of like you're arguing with a hyper intelligent 5-year-old at times, where it's like, okay, this 5-year-old knows a shit ton about the world, but my gosh, your ability to follow and listen to me and like, it's you know, you're a 5-year-old. I swear, this is a little child. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's fun though. It's fun when you can actually nail it and you're like, yes, the output worked. But that's not
there,
happening with custom GPTs anytime soon.
there. I totally agree. All right, so everyone is it's completed for the first episode. Andrew, it was really a good talk again, and then see you later, guys, for another podcast episode. Bye.
Great.